Business keeps being very strong. The last reporting, we confirm we have been ahead of 2019 sales numbers since March this year. We don't see a slowdown on the trends. We see people still very happy to travel, both for leisure and for business.
Happy to travel for leisure and for business. What kind of business numbers are you looking at, Xavier? Because I understood that the business traveller numbers are still playing catch-up from the pre-pandemic levels.
Absolutely. Business travel is lower than it used to be, but there is a new phenomenon that thanks to the hybrid model of working from home, there is more opportunities for shorter breaks. This is a trend we see in some of our key markets, US being one of the main ones, where we can clearly see people are taking more opportunities during the year. Also, there is another cumulative pandemic has changed the mindset of many people. We do believe that travel is maybe something that over the future could be stopped by regulation, and therefore we are more willing to take advantage of the moment and travel more.
If you look ahead to next year, Xavier, we've talked about current trading, how things are doing, and you paint a positive picture. What are the biggest headwinds, though, that you're looking at for next year? What are you concerned about?
So we see a positive trend across the board, but of course geopolitics will play a role on certain parts of the world. The difference between us and some other companies is that being in 75 countries, as you said, with 5,500 points of sale, we cover most of the touristic and business areas in the world. So what we historically have seen is that if one area goes down for whatever reason, for example, a conflict, those travelers move somewhere else in the world. So we not only expect growth, but we expect a very resilient growth. But geopolitics remain our main challenge for the incoming years.
Okay, and what are you seeing in China at this point, Xavier? There's been a lot of focus on the speed with which Chinese international travellers return to the market. And what are you seeing in China in terms of the numbers and also the Chinese tourists' willingness to spend when they're in your facilities?
Chinese travelers are still in lower numbers than it used to be. And they are also traveling closer to home. So you have activities in areas like Hong Kong or certain parts of Asia taking the first Chinese travelers. But again, as the numbers have been so low in 23, we can only see better prospects for 24 and 25. It might take a little bit longer than initially expected for them to reach 2019 numbers, but they will keep increasing. We still believe Chinese travelers over the next decade will be one of the forces in the travel industry. But not the only ones. We have India growing fast, we have Indonesia, we have many other geographies that will complement the Chinese traveler.
Right, so that's the Chinese story, and that's one of the big picture trends you're looking at, Xavier. I wonder if there are other big picture trends around our reliance on aviation and commitments to tackle climate change. And I know that your business has exposure to other forms of travel, train travel, something of a resurgence around train usage here in Europe at the moment. How will you see that playing out over the next decade or so?
I think the aviation industry is making a big effort to have more efficient aircrafts and also using alternative fuels. But as you very well pointed out, in certain parts of the world, like Europe, we complement the aviation with train and motorways, where also electric vehicles are playing a role. So for us, this exposure to the different channels, it's another way to be more resilient and to still serve the travelers in the different means of transportations they might use.
You're in Switzerland and you have an FX headwind, perhaps, around the use of the Swiss currency. You must get a lot of revenue in all kinds of currencies from all parts of the world, Xavier. What kind of headache does it give you when the Swiss franc is so strong? How do you cope with that FX challenge?
It's only a translation effect. So our numbers, our profitability is not affected. We don't produce in Switzerland and sell everywhere. we basically sell and have the cost on the same currency. It's purely that when we report the numbers in Swiss francs, basically they look smaller. So to give you an idea, the consensus for this year is 12.5 billion sales of Swiss francs. So probably with a Swiss franc that will be in line with 2019, our number will be close to 14.5 billion. But still, our profitability is not affected. It's more an optical that the numbers look smaller.
Okay, so that's the story around currencies. You sell clearly a whole host of products in your operations in 75 different countries, Xavier. I'm wondering about sales of luxury items and whether you see any interesting trends there that you're able to share with us. Luxury goods did extremely well for a period and then have more recently run into some headwinds. What are you seeing on that front?
We sell luxury products, but we typically, because in an airport you have limited time, we don't sell the top of the luxury products. We sell more perfumes, for example, and the trends remain very strong. People buy in our stores because they need something. That could be a piece of electronics. We also have restaurants, so they might be wanted to eat, and they might need something for themselves or a gifting. So the sales on our, if you want, affordable luxury has remained very strong, even if some of our suppliers have shown a weakening on the numbers. We have not seen that at this stage.